Welcome to this explainer of the Heart Strong Roadmap. Look, if you're tuning in today, chances are you, or maybe someone you deeply care about, has just gone through a cardiac event. And I just want to start by acknowledging how incredibly tough that is. It's literally one of those moments that flips your entire world upside down. But hey, today, we're going to navigate the path forward together. We're taking this roadmap and using it to guide you from that scary place of uncertainty straight into a place of confidence and proactive healing. Let's get right into it.
So, what happens after you leave the hospital? This is the question that haunts so many patients, right? Think about it. You go from this intense hospital environment, you've got nurses checking your vitals around the clock, machines beeping, experts everywhere, to suddenly just being sent home. Usually with nothing but a lingering sense of shock and maybe a small stack of medical leaflets. It's a completely jarring transition. That safety net feels like it just vanished into thin air, and honestly, the silence of your own home can suddenly feel overwhelmingly loud.
In fact, there's a quote from the source material that hits the nail perfectly on the head. You're scared, you're confused, you don't know what's safe, you don't know what's normal. If that's exactly how you're feeling right now, take a deep breath. Your feelings are 100% valid. It's pretty much the universal experience for a heart patient right after discharge. But listen, you absolutely do not have to stay stuck in that fear.
And that's exactly why we're going through the Cardiac Rehab online roadmap today. The beauty of this guide is that it isn't stuffed with dense medical jargon or incredibly confusing physiological diagrams. Nope, it's a super practical, step-by-step manual built specifically to help you recover safely and confidently. Think of it as your brand new safety net.
Here's the map we'll be following today. First, life after a cardiac event, then the 3 pillars of recovery, followed by navigating specific conditions, overcoming hurdles, and finally, the marathon of recovery.
All right, Section 1. 3 Pillars of Recovery, the Foundation of Healing.
Everything builds on this really sticky Rule of 3 framework. Pillar 1 is to move safely. Pillar 2 is eat for your heart. And Pillar 3 is manage your mind and medications. It's that simple. If you can master these 3 foundational areas, you're giving yourself the absolute best possible chance at a full recovery. Let's break them down one by one.
So, starting with Pillar 1, moving safely. Now, after a heart event, the actual fear of moving is almost always worse than the movement itself. You might be thinking that just lying in bed is the safest possible thing you can do, but here's the reality. Doing nothing is actually dangerous. Extended bed rest and inactivity literally cause your heart muscle to weaken. The goal here is definitely not to go run a marathon tomorrow. Just start remarkably small. We're talking a 5-minute walk. See how you feel. If you're fine, do it again tomorrow, and then maybe just add 2 minutes next week. You've got to listen to your body, but you absolutely have to move.
Moving on to Pillar 2, eating for your heart. Look, you could exercise every single day, but if your diet is working against you, you're fighting a losing battle. The roadmap heavily champions the Mediterranean diet. And the good news? It's not about miserable deprivation at all. It's all about substitution. You want to eat way more of the good stuff: fish, olive oil, nuts, avocados, veggies, whole grains, and consciously limit those inflammatory, highly processed foods like red meat, fried foods, and sugary drinks. Swap your butter for olive oil. Swap a bag of crisps for a handful of nuts. These are tiny tweaks, but they have a massive cardiovascular impact.
Now for Pillar 3, which tackles your mind and your medications. You know, heart disease isn't just a physical thing. It is deeply mental. Anxiety and fear are incredibly common, and the tricky part is that anxiety actively raises your heart rate and blood pressure, which puts strain on the exact organ you're trying to heal. There's a brilliantly simple, scientifically backed breathing technique for this. Just breathe in through your nose for 4 seconds and breathe out through your mouth for 4 seconds. Doing this instantly lowers your heart rate and helps you regain control whenever that panic starts to set in.
The second half of Pillar 3 is all about your medications. You've probably been handed this confusing cocktail of pills with totally unpronounceable names, right? To safely demystify all of that, there are 5 crucial questions you need to ask about every single pill you take. Why am I taking it? What are the common side effects? When should I take it? What happens if I accidentally miss a dose? And what should I avoid? Like, you know how statins can interact dangerously with something as simple as grapefruit? Write these answers down, keep them in your wallet, and take back your agency.
Okay, Section 2. Navigating your specific condition, tailoring the pillars to you.
Let's look at how the constraints for Pillar 1, moving safely, really change depending on what you've been through. Notice how radically different the advice is here. If you've had a heart attack, you need to watch your heart rate closely, keeping it under 100 beats per minute, and avoid heavy lifting for 4 to 6 weeks. But if you've had a stent fitted, You're actually encouraged to start walking immediately to prevent new blockages, while just avoiding heavy lifting for 2 weeks. And what if you've had bypass surgery? Well, your chest was opened, so your main goal is protecting that healing sternum. That means absolutely no lifting over 5 kilograms for at least 6 weeks. The foundational pillar is exactly the same, but the execution is highly customized to you.
This perfectly illustrates the nuances for chronic conditions too. Say you're managing heart failure. Your absolute biggest enemy is salt, because it makes your body retain fluid. So you need to cut it out completely and weigh yourself daily to catch any sudden fluid buildup. For AFib, atrial fibrillation, it's all about knowing your triggers, like caffeine or alcohol, and making sure you never ever miss taking your blood thinners. And for high blood pressure, brisk walking for 30 minutes a day and slashing your salt intake to under 5 grams are your daily prescriptions. When you know your specific focus, the overwhelming suddenly becomes manageable.
Which brings us to Section 3, Overcoming Real-World Hurdles, Reclaiming Your Agency.
So many patients get discharged with a vague promise of a rehab appointment only to find themselves stuck on a waiting list for 6, 12, or honestly even 18 months. Listen to me, your heart cannot wait that long. The roadmap gives us this incredibly empowering mantra: start your rehab now. Don't wait for permission. You really don't need a formal doctor's referral to start walking 5 minutes a day or to start eating a Mediterranean diet. Reclaim your own timeline today.
You're also going to have to manage the people around you. On one hand, you might have an overprotective family. They're terrified of losing you and basically won't let you lift a finger. The solution? Educate them. Show them your safe recovery plan and remind them that doing nothing is actually dangerous. On the other end of the spectrum, you might run into doctors who brush off your ongoing symptoms. If that happens, keep a rigorous symptom diary. Track your heart rate, track your blood pressure every day. Trust your gut and use your data to fiercely advocate for yourself.
And we can't ignore the psychological hurdles. What happens when you inevitably lose motivation? Maybe you started off great, but then you slipped up. You ate a bunch of junk food, you stopped going for your walks, and now you're just sitting there feeling this crushing sense of guilt. Just remember this: one bad meal does not ruin your health. One bad week does not ruin your health. The roadmap urges you to simply forgive yourself. Do not throw the whole plan away because of a slip-up. Just start again, right now, with your very next meal.
All right, Section 4, the marathon of recovery, small steps, massive results. The absolute most crucial thing to remember on this journey is that the goal is progress, not perfection. Massive healing doesn't happen from a single heroic effort. It comes from tiny, consistently repeated steps. Just walk a little bit further today than you did yesterday. Put one more vegetable on your dinner plate. Take your medications one more day in a row. It's these tiny, seemingly unspectacular habits that compound into massive, life-saving results over time.
There's a final thought from the source material that we really just need to let sink in. Your heart is stronger than you think. Right after an event, it's so easy to feel fragile, like you're literally made of glass. But the human heart is an incredibly resilient organ, especially when you start supporting it with the right movement, the right fuel, and the right mindset.
Which brings us to our final question for you. You've got the roadmap now. You understand the 3 pillars, you know how to tailor them to your condition, and you know how to blast through those real-world hurdles. The knowledge is officially in your hands. So what is the single smallest step you will take today to reclaim your heart health? Are you going to go for a 5-minute walk? Are you going to sit down and write out your medication list? Don't wait for tomorrow. Make that choice right now. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. And hey, here's to living heart strong.